but on the other hand, they may not be, but they're all the same. So you still have this same old detailing of all, from house to house to house to house. I mean, okay, there are maybe 5 variables, but those variables just keep coming up over and over again in house after house. The problem is that they ill-define a style. You say, because I have people call me up, Jenna, and say, Michael, I live in such and such place, and I say, well, what is the style of your house? And they go, well, I don't really know what it's meant to be. It doesn't have a style. And so, because what I oftentimes will say to somebody that's lost about what to do with the interior of their house, or if they say they love everything, they love traditional, they love contemporary, they really love all types of interiors, and they don't know which way to go. Oftentimes my answer is follow the style of your house. Whatever your house is, why don't you have the interior reflect on the exterior? When in fact, now it's so ill-defined, and that whole style of current home design is so, as it were, muted. It is hard to define, therefore an interior is hard to define. So it's a challenge. It really is.
Have you ever walked into a client's house prior to redoing it and found that what they are currently living in is so ghastly that you have to sort of check your tongue to keep from being rude?
Oh dear! Sometimes I'm surprised I even have a tongue at all. I've bitten it so often. For any of those people that have seen the show, they know that I have walked into some pretty awful interiors. And maybe it's my being British that one is brought up to be wonderfully polite and to bite your tongue. And I think anybody watching my show over a period of time has now learned all of my euphemisms. So when I walk into a space which is just dreadful beyond words, and I just use a phrase like, well, this is certainly different, that they know what I'm thinking. I don't have to say the words. But you see, we get into a subject here which is, I think is very delicate. People choose to do with the interiors of their home what they choose to do. It is their taste that is being dictated at that time. I mean, this is I'm assuming that this is what they like. That's why they did it. Now, maybe they did it the way they did it because they didn't know any better, but it still is the way they're living. So what I don't do is I don't pass judgment. I just say, okay, this is the way these people are living. This is what they like. However, I feel as though, and what I say, which I think is a delicate way of saying it, is that I see what they've done with their own home, but frankly, I really feel it could be, if I may say, even nicer. And so then I get to work and I come back, process all of their desires. They told me what they want, they told me what they would like to see, and then I just take all of that input, process it through my sort of design mind, and come up with a solution which, one, I love and I think is really beautiful, and two, I make sure it satisfies their needs.
It's an excellent and interesting point. I bring it up because my mother is a hairdresser, and she's sometimes caught between doing what the customer wants and adhering to the age-old maxim, the customer is always right,
Yes.
and saying very politely to the woman, well, I don't think this style that you want is particularly good for your face shape. You have an oval face, and you need a style that better accommodates a square face or better accommodates your complexion rather than the one you have chosen. And that's a delicate tightrope to walk.
It is a very delicate tightrope to walk, because what she can't say ever, however she feels, is to say to that client sitting down in front of her, this hairstyle that you've got really makes you look very unattractive.
Mm.
Because, what she's saying is, that point is, I'm sorry that you look awful. Well, you don't say that. Just as you said, you say, Well, you said it beautifully yourself, that with your face shape, your coloring, I believe that by just doing a variation on this very theme, you're going to look even more beautiful.
Have you done any work in Los Angeles with people who are trying to become what they call, I believe, the new urban gentry, taking these rundown, historic old homes in the inner city, young couples who are upwardly mobile, and then trying to renovate them from fixer-upper status all the way into something truly livable, and in the process thereby neighborhood by neighborhood helping to revive the inner city?
Yes, I've done. I haven't personally done a lot of that type of work myself, but I'm extremely familiar with it and know people that have done that, and have, as it were, viewed not from necessarily afar, but viewed from over their shoulders. So yes, I am intimately familiar, and one of the things which brings the greatest joy to me is when these people go into these old homes and pause and just admire the detailing of the woodworking and such like that was created over now, let's say, 100+ years ago, and literally saying that is so special. My word, look at that. It's the type of work that is not done today. We must restore it to its former glory. That, to me, is the best. So it's almost like the restoration of an old car. Can you imagine, finding in an old barn, a Duesenberg, and, flat tires and rusty, and then restoring it to its absolute magnificence back in the 1920s. That, to me, it's marvelous to see. But in homes, the beauty, you see, I feel as though not only are you restoring the house to its former glory, but then you bring today into the picture. Then you can bring, today's colors with their vibrancy and their saturation, and really make the house feel current, but with all of the beautiful old world trimmings that we all admire so much.
How do you feel about feng shui?
This is a delicate subject because there are those people that believe fervently in it, and there are those that don't. It, to me, is a little bit like religion. Some people are absolutely incredibly religious and believe in everything, let's say in the Bible or in the Quran or whatever religion they follow, and there are those that don't believe in it at all. The agnostics of the world or the atheists. And so I really feel I don't feel strongly in one direction or the other. All I do is I am very, very respectful of those people, whatever their beliefs are. So when working with a client that is a strong believer in feng shui, believe me, I go along with it. And the only time I say stumble insofar as there are some feng shui experts, supposed experts, that will orient, let's say, a bed in a room because of the placement of the doors and or windows or whatever. And when that placement results in a non-functional space, I then categorize that as poor design. And therefore, I disagree with it strongly.
Have you ever worked with a client to whom you've said or recommended, before I start decorating, I would recommend such and such an architectural change, such as taking out this wall for the particular purposes that you and your family have or whatever?
Oh, I am absolute. When I first meet a client and see their living space for the first time, what I am doing it would be wonderful to download my brain at that point because my brain is going so fast at that moment, not only taking in all the decorative elements that these people have put in their own home and the architectural elements that already exist, but also very much the function of the space. And what I do is literally walk from room to room to room to room in order to understand the complete space.